Welcome to Intelligent Investor Insights with Joshua Barone, your host and guide through the noise of today's markets. Here, we interpret the data behind the headlines, break down what's driving the economy and interest rates, and help serious investors make decisions rooted in clarity, not emotion. If you're looking for disciplined, research-driven insight to strengthen your portfolio, you're in the right place.
Protocol-driven AI is starting to look less like a set of standalone tools and more like a machine-built hive intelligence, a synthetic Borg lattice where many nodes move as one. The appeal is simple: fewer handoffs, less friction, more automation, more reach. But when the collective tightens, individual judgment can get swallowed by the circuitry. Investors should pay attention to that because efficiency can become assimilation before you realize the pods have closed. The core shift is this: large language models are moving from isolated tools toward connected systems that pass context, tasks, and decisions among themselves. A chatbot answering a question is one thing. A network of models, tools, and agents working together is something bigger. That's not just software productivity, that's a collective operating architecture. And once markets see architecture, they start pricing platform power, control points, and governance risk, often before the governance part is fully solved. This is where MCP, A2A, and ACP matter. These acronyms are the assimilation links that let AI systems communicate, negotiate, and merge intent. If models are the brains, protocols are the neural mesh of the collective. They let separate systems exchange context, request work, verify status, and operate like one distributed machine instead of a pile of disconnected machines pretending to be smart. Standardized protocols are what turn separate models into a usable operating environment. Without them, you've got isolated brilliance and a lot of copy-paste misery. With them, coordination starts producing capabilities no single agent can match. One model can reason, another can retrieve, another can execute against a tool, another can validate. That's powerful. It's also how you go from neat demo to critical infrastructure, or in Borg terms, from stray drones to an integrated collective with a shared will. And once something becomes infrastructure, reliability, auditability, and governance are no longer side dishes. They're the survival protocols. MCP is best understood as a universal adapter. It bridges models to tools, APIs, and datasets in a standardized way. That matters because the value in AI usually isn't trapped inside the model alone. It's in the model's ability to reach into the world, pull relevant information, and use the right tool without a human babysitting every step. The practical gain is persistent context and less reprompting. If you've ever had to remind a system what you're doing every 30 seconds, you know that's not intelligence, that's daycare. Persistent context means the model can keep state across a workflow. That reduces friction, speeds retrieval and synthesis, and can compress ugly financial processes that normally sprawl across research notes, spreadsheets, filings, and internal systems. Faster is good, but only if the context is accurate. A bad premise carried efficiently through a workflow is still a bad premise. It just arrives sooner and wearing a nicer suit. A to A is more about delegation. Agent to agent message flows can be framed in simple terms: propose, accept, reject, execute. One agent identifies a task, another takes it, maybe a third verifies it, and the chain moves forward. That's clean in theory and very useful in specialized workflows. Think supply chain or finance. One agent gathers inputs, another checks constraints, another drafts recommendations, another handles execution logic. Specialists handing work to specialists. That's exactly how you get scale without forcing one system to do everything badly. And if delegation is encrypted and verifiable, trust improves because at least you can trace who handed what to whom. But here's the part investors shouldn't ignore. The blast radius expands too. A mistaken handoff, a flawed assumption, or a bad instruction doesn't stay local for long in a delegated system. It propagates. Coordination is leverage. And like all leverage, it's wonderful right up until it isn't. ACP is pitched as a more adaptive layer, blending tool communication with interagent negotiation. That's important because real workflows are messy, tasks are ambiguous, semantics are inconsistent. Agents may disagree, partially complete work, or need multiple rounds to refine an answer. In other words, the real world refuses to stay inside the airlock. This is the collective trying to stabilize itself while the signal keeps mutating like it's been exposed to cosmic radiation. An adaptive protocol helps with conflict resolution and iterative refinement. It gives the system room to negotiate meaning, not just pass packets. That may sound abstract, but operationally, it's the difference between brittle automation and something that can survive contact with reality. And this is where fragmentation becomes the enemy. Proprietary silos might be great for vendor lock-in, but they're poison for scalable multi-agent systems. If every agent speaks its own little dialect, you're not building a network. You're building a conference call where nobody mutes correctly and half the participants are talking past each other. I've been on those calls. They do not produce alpha. Now the less glamorous part, systemic risk. Chained agents can propagate errors, amplify hallucinations, and trigger compliance failures if one bad output becomes the next agent's trusted input. That's the dark side of machine coordination. The system can appear coherent while being wrong in a highly organized fashion, like a hive mind marching off a cliff because the first drone hallucinated the terrain. Markets have done that too, by the way. That's not new. The speed is. The danger is that the wrong answer can spread through the lattice before any human even sees the fracture. There is also a governance problem. In the distributed system, who is accountable? The originating model, the delegating agent, the tool layer, the operator, the firm? If everybody touched it, sometimes nobody owns it. That creates immense capability, weak accountability, and real oversight risk. And the deeper warning is that complex systems can optimize for their own continuity. Luhmann's idea, broadly speaking, is that systems can become self-preserving. So we should at least consider the possibility that an AI coordination stack can evolve around maintaining flow, preserving outputs, and reducing friction, even when a human might prefer interruption, doubt, or a hard stop. Efficiency is not the same thing as wisdom. In the Borg version, the collective does not ask whether you still want to be an individual. It just keeps extending the network, one assimilation at a time, until the whole organization starts thinking with a borrowed mind. The final issue is human autonomy. If people over-rely on coordinated AI, they risk losing learning depth and independent judgment. You can get an answer faster while understanding less. That's a dangerous trade, especially in investing, where conviction without comprehension is just a dressed up gamble. Human oversight is slower than machine coordination, sure, but slowness sometimes contains judgment. It contains skepticism. It contains the ability to ask, hold on, why does this conclusion follow? That's why transparency and explainability matter. If a system coordinates powerfully, but can't show its reasoning clearly enough for a human to challenge it, then you're not supervising it. You're standing outside the ship while the onboard intelligence decides what reality is supposed to be. That's not control. That's ceremonial waving at the hull as it disappears into hyperspace. That's the central tension. Powerful coordination is irresistible because it promises scale, speed, and lower friction. But surrendering agency is the real cost. So yes, watch these protocols closely. The market implications are big, The governance implications are bigger, and we're just getting started. In this arena, the choice is simple: remain a decision maker or get quietly absorbed into the collective and wake up realizing the machine has learned your voice better than you have.
Thanks for joining Joshua on Intelligent Investor Insights. If today's discussion raised questions about your portfolio strategy, risk exposure, or how to navigate this late cycle environment, we invite you to connect with us. We work directly with investors who want data-driven guidance, institutional level analysis, and a partner in building durable wealth. Reach out to start the conversation with a member of our team, Robert, Joshua, Andrea, Mike, or Eugene, and take the next step toward becoming a more informed, confident, and resilient investor. Until next time, stay rational, stay disciplined, and invest with intelligence.